I'm not going to ask you for your happy moments. Okay. I don't want to know your happy moments at that time. All I want to do is I want to find out why you're not having those happy moments.
Welcome to A Sister's Love, the podcast that helps women who are healing by having those deep conversations, giving practical advice and words of encouragement. Come on, let's talk about it.
Hello, my beautiful sisters. Welcome back to another episode of A Sister's Love podcast. On this episode, we'll be having two guests. The guests will be Danielle and Julia, and they will be introducing to you their method called Moment to Moment, which allows you to break through your deep past pains and reveal your true purpose. But before we get started, I would like to introduce myself to my first-time listeners. And I just want to let you guys know that I am just a woman trying to inspire other women through my story and allow you to be free and break free of your life from your pain and suffering and get back to who you truly were. And if you are a woman who is struggling with her self-worth, self-love, and trying to heal, then you are in the right place. I would love for you to hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so that you don't miss an episode of A Sister's Love podcast. Let let's get started on today's episode. And first, we're going to introduce our two guests. Would y'all like to introduce yourself?
Want me to go first? Well, my name is Danielle, and I am a part of Revival Society, and I am a mama to two boys, and I'm really here to change the perspective on how people view and work through their trauma, whether it's something that you know is trauma or it's something that you haven't identified as trauma. I'm really here to be that person that really fights for you, because my gift is really seeing someone for who they really are, even if they can't fully see it themselves. I'm really able to see the power in somebody and really use someone's soul to be able to figure out what's really going on inside of them.
And I'm Julie, and I'm the mom behind Revival Society. And I'm the mom that struggled for 25 years with my own children who suffered from debilitating anxiety and all different types of traumas that they had in their life that I didn't realize what was really going on for them. And we went from doctor to doctor. I mean, I went to the best of the best. I wasn't willing to give up. I wasn't willing to put a Band-Aid on anything. And it wasn't until I started to take a different route and do a more of an alternative route, a more of a holistic route, and start to really study different teachings and really learn that what was really going on with my girls and how I could help them. And it wasn't until one had to come home from school in college and one was in the psych ward, did I really start to take things in my own hands. And really, after 8 years now and serving many different clients, there is a certain population of people that they can't do conscious work. And what I mean by that is they can't be the ones that do the mindset work, and they go to the conferences and they do all that type of work, positive affirmations and all that stuff is wonderful, but it doesn't work for everyone. And so we really cater to, and we really specialize in someone that's a very highly sensitive person that feels people's emotions, that they really they absorb people's emotions. They're an empath, because there's not a real answer that we have found for them. But with our moment to moment, we've been able to create an answer for those individuals.
Oh my God. It sounds like you're speaking to me like, yeah, I be saying those affirmations and I be like, yeah, I believe them, but like it's like a constant theme. Like when me, like you sound like you're just speaking to me, like I absorb people's emotions so fast. Like you said, like I feel like an empath, like I can feel emotions. I'm like very sensitive emotions. Like one of my biggest things with my trauma is isolation. I isolate myself because of that, because I know I can adapt people's emotions real fast, and I'm already overwhelmed myself because of my trauma. So being around people that I automatically attract people and I take in their emotions, and I'm already dealing with my emotions like a lot. So a lot of things, like I did like tapping and I did the CBT and I did a lot of therapies like but like a lot of it, I'm doing like a whole bunch of different things at once and just not coming together for me. Like which one is it for me that's going to work? It's like I'm just tapping into different types of treatments, and none of them's like doing what it needs to do in the full effect. And in moment to moment, so I'm like, it is definitely what I'm looking for.
One thing that I want to share as you're talking is what we've really done with moment to moment is it's really all about creating that emotional foundation and really allowing someone to work through the things that they've gone through in their life, whether they know it or they don't know it, or whether they're just feeling stuck in their life. They don't know why they're stuck. They don't feel like they do have trauma, right? And what I want people to start to understand as they're listening is I feel like we make what happened to us is complicated. It does feel complicated. I don't take that away from anyone. But the process to work through it is so complicated. And we're really here to show people it's simple. It really is. It's a lot deeper than you ever could expect it to be. But if you're willing to really face yourself and really be honest with yourself, you can do this work. And especially if you absorb people's emotions and you feel in your body, you can do this work. And I just want people to really start to understand that as they're listening to this interview. I'm sure we'll explain about it deeper, but as you're listening, really start to ask yourself these questions. Do you absorb people's emotions? You'll know what that means if you do. Are you someone that has been told you are highly sensitive, or man, you're just really sensitive, right? Anyone has ever told you you're sensitive, or you're known as highly sensitive,
or you're too much.
Right.
Because
you have so much emotion. Right. So I want people, as they're listening to this, to really start to think about themselves in our story and really starting to figure out where is your story and where does it fit in as we're speaking about this.
Well, since we were talking about that, you can actually just go into, if you would like to go into like the step-by-steps of how the process worked and how it worked for an individual, like how it start, like what do you do when you first get into like, what are your first steps? Like, when you have a meeting, is it virtual or in person?
So we pretty much are able to do what people need. It's really about meeting someone where they're at. And what I mean by that is everyone is totally different. Everyone has their own body makeup. Everyone can handle things at a different pace. So if someone is a little bit slower and they like to do what I call marinate, and they're really just wants to face things really quickly head on, sometimes it's better for someone to do an intensive in person. It really just depends on the person. But what I will share about the method is how it really works is, and something that we really thrive on, is authentic connection. It's the first place. Is really a lot of people that come to us, they've never had a place to share. They've never had a place to share how they're actually feeling. And so in our space, we don't allow people to rationalize how they're feeling, because it, as she says, it's not negative, it's your truth. And so the first piece is really for someone, one, to like fill out a form, because we just need to understand you a little bit better, right? How do you fill out that form? How much information are you willing to put on that form about your story and about the things that you're going through? And then the next step is they set up a call with Julie, and Julie's the first point of contact. And it's really, you can explain your call of how that works.
Yeah, so it's really important to understand when you come to me, you probably have never felt validated, seen, or heard, someone that comes to us. And I want you to understand that it's so important on the call that they understand that I'm there to hold space for them. I'm really there to hold space for them to really feel like I can be honest with her. I want people to understand that I raised 4 girls. I want them to know that the way that I feel toward my own girls and their healing, I want the same for you. I want you to feel that when you come to me. I really do. I mean, I see everybody as such a beautiful soul that is just hurting so bad and suffering. I want you at that moment to understand you're in a safe place. So I'll ask them their story, but one of the things that is really helpful for me is to understand what I call boulders in their lives. Okay. So it's like, what boulders in your lives? So I'll have you, go on a journey with me. And if you look down a stream and you see that all these boulders that are in the way of really getting you to a tranquil space past the boulders, what are those boulders in your life? It could be an event in your life. Okay. It could be a person in your life. It could be anything that's causing you not to be able to allow that water, the energy. See, what we don't understand is it's not in the physical body yet. Okay. It starts out in the energetic body. Okay. So it's really important to understand that energy is blocked from those boulders. Okay. So it's so important for me to understand what are those boulders that are holding you back. And so that's the first place I'll go with someone is what's really going on here? What are we trying to solve? Like I had a woman that came to me the other day that said, I need help with organization. That's not what she needs. That is just, that's surface. I need help with organization. What's really going on? What was your life like that all of a sudden you're feeling like I don't feel organized? What's really going on? And then you get into the depth of what's really going on here. My job, and you don't have to know what's going on. Our job is to find out, to be able to put those puzzle pieces back together for you. And we do that very quickly. My job role is to really be able to, you come to me and you say, Julie, I've had this trauma. Okay, this is what's really going on. I don't have a relationship with my mom or whatever. I don't have a relationship with this person, or this person abused me. That's my job, okay, to be able to help you. But Danielle's job is even deeper because her job is to really go to those moments that you don't even remember that are keeping you stuck.
That's my biggest issue right there. I was just about to tap into that. Like, so what about people that have that block, like you just locked it in your subconscious mind? Me, I do that a lot. Like, even like with my happy moments, like when I was in therapy, she was like, give me 10 happy moments. I'm like, well, I had a child, so I'm happy about that. And that's because it's physically in front of me. Like, but going back and remember actually happy things that happened to my life that I don't have a physical reminder of every day, it's very hard for me.
So let me bring up something, Rose, that's so beautiful that you said that, okay? That's between us and therapy. I'm not going to ask you for your happy moments, okay? I don't want to know your happy moments at that time. All I want to do is I want to find out why you're not having those happy moments. I want to find out why you're not able to get those happy moments. That's our job. Remember what Danielle said, it's like, it's not negative. It's your truth. I want to find out what's your real truth, because that's what's holding you back.
And one thing that I want to piggyback off of that is that, there's some people in the world that are stuck and they're not like you, Rose, right? They're not like you, and they don't identify it as trauma. They think that it happened to their friend. It happened to somebody else. It happened a long time ago. But that's what a lot of people think is keeping them stuck. And it's a piece of what's keeping someone stuck. But then there's that other piece that is unidentifiable that people have just completely forgotten about. And as you work through the big trauma, the trauma that right? I was raped. I was in a car accident. I was abused. I was physically abused. I was emotionally abused, right? All these different things that are happening in people's lives. And you work through that. And then you work through the unidentifiable. That's when you then can get to those happy moments. That's when you can remember, oh, that's who I was. But it's really hard to get to those moments until you release yourself of all the stuckness in your body that you're feeling. And one thing you shared with me earlier before this interview is you said, well, how does it work for someone like me? Right. Yeah. And I can tell you're very open about your story. So how does it work for someone like me that has so much? How do I work through all that? And at Revival Society, it's really about building an emotional foundation, as I said before. And the way that you do that is you do work through each of those traumas. Now, for some people, depends on the body. For some people, they can work on the root of one trauma, and it takes care of a lot of the other trauma. For others, they need to individually work through each trauma. But when people work with us, we say it takes anywhere between 3 to 4 sessions to work through one big trauma, and you're done. That trauma is done, and you can explain what that feels like in someone's body.
Actually, because you've been carrying so much heavy energy around that trauma, your body feels so much lighter. You feel so much more open. You feel so much freer. You feel so much more liberated. It's just an energy that you probably have never felt, and it almost feels foreign a little bit is what it does. I actually call it more of a skipping energy is what I like to say it is. Just imagine being a kid that just wants to go outside and skip on the sidewalk. That's the energy that you feel when you've let go of all the shame around it, all the resentment around it, whatever energy that you're holding on to. And that's my job to figure that out. Okay. But if you're carrying any heavy energy like that, it's so hard to feel light in your body. But I can promise you,
each time you have, once that skipping energy comes, it's like, boom, I unlocked the child. I unlocked the part of my childhood. Now I get to go outside and play.
Yep. Yeah.
I get to actually enjoy this part of my childhood now, even though I'm not a child.
Right. Absolutely. It's just an energy you feel in your body is what it is. It gets you back to a feeling of, whoa, I can do anything. And I feel that way. And it's not you're telling yourself that, you literally feel that empowerment in your body.
Because you absorb emotion, you feel emotions, you literally feel it. And the biggest thing about that is in life, we're human. And so as we help you build this emotional foundation, which I mean by that is letting go of the things that, I don't mean letting go, like you have to let go. It's not what I mean by it. You find what it means for you to let go. You find what it means for you to move forward. But what I mean by that is then after that happens, you are human and you are in life. And we have things that happen to us and we have to know how to deal with those things. And that's where a lot of people I see of this certain population, where that's where people get stuck again. They're like, oh, I guess it didn't work, or, oh, it failed, right? They have those feelings a little bit. And it's like, no, you're just in a totally different place in your life now. You have a new thing that's showing up that you didn't realize is there. And that is our job, is to teach you, how do you implement this into your life? How do you do this on a regular basis? If you think about yoga or any other type of practice, this is a practice. It is something you will use for the rest of your life. And it's simple. It doesn't take a long time.
But I tell people all the time, like, healing is just like, it's never an end goal. Like, it's always a process. There will always be a process because it's ever going. Like, you will always be in life. You will always encounter new things. You will always encounter things that might actually re-traumatize you and stuff like that. So it's like learning these skills and keeping the skills in your tool bag. So when it does happen again, you can just pull it out and you know what to do, instead of having to go through years and years of trying to refix it or getting restuck because something else didn't happen to you again. So it's about like learning those skills and getting those tools and everything down packed and always having your book back on, pretty much.
Yes, absolutely. I will say with our work though, I don't see a lot of re-traumatizing. I see more just like slivers that come up for people, like, oh, my body wasn't ready to release that yet. I had a, certain conversation with somebody that kind of just triggered a little something inside of me. If you can get to it pretty quickly, you're through it on the other side in like 5-10 minutes. So it's quick. You got to build that foundation though. You got to be willing to really invest that time and energy, especially if you are someone, I'm going to be honest, if you are someone that's gone through a lot, it's going to take you a little bit longer to work through the process. But as long as you're willing to work yourself through it and build that emotional foundation, you have it for the rest of your life. And you know how to work through it as you move through it.
So these sessions are how long? Like about an hour each?
So it depends, but usually they're about an hour and a half with Julie. And for me, they're an hour, because by the time they come to me, they don't need that hand holding. They don't need that extra space that they need with her. Also, we're very different. Like, she's more loving and sweet, and I am too, but I'm definitely more direct and I'm more honest. And it's a different part of the process, because what we're trying to do is get you to be on your own, not to have to rely on us. Not that we're never here for you. We're always here, but to get you to that 90 to 95% where you can work on things on your own. And then that 5% where you'll be able to either work with us or at some point very soon in a group setting. So that's how it works.
Is in the sessions, are they mostly talking, or is it like other kind of methods that's going on, or just like pretty much you're talking to these people through their trauma and certain skills and tools inside of them? So
it's different teachings that we've learned along the way. So for example, if you're familiar with somatic experience, you can explain it a little bit more, but go ahead. I want you to explain this part.
So what we've done is, it started off with the EFT. I don't know if you're familiar with emotional freedom techniques. That's where it started, but it wasn't deep enough for the empath, is what it was. It wasn't deep enough for my girls. It didn't get to releasing actually the traumas that were really going on. Okay. And then, so that was part of it. And then what happened is that, I started studying more trauma work and started studying more somatic healing work. And what I have come to is a much faster way of doing somatic healing. So what our process is, it's a combination of personalized meditations that Danielle does that are incredible, because like I told you, Carly was in the psych ward. It was Danielle's meditation that was able to take her out of her, start to heal herself. So part of it is our personalized meditations that Danielle does. The other part is not traditional EFT tapping. We do a tapping, but it's a different type of tapping that we do. We don't use all the meridian points. We don't use a script, and we don't use any kind of setup statements. So it's very different. It's very customized, and it's very personalized. No two clients are ever the same. And then somatic healing, I've come up with a formula that works very, very quickly to get you through the emotions of what your body's storing. So like I said, the average person that comes to us when has a big trauma, it takes 3 or 4 times, and they rid themselves of that trauma. And when I say they rid themselves of that trauma, they don't manage that trauma anymore. That trauma's gone. That energy from their body that they were storing is no longer there anymore.
That sounds like a lot, but it sounds like it's going to work. It sounds like it's a lot of methods put together, and it's going to, because there's a lot of healing methods put together, it's pretty much speeding up the process. Because it is customized per person, that's what I like. A lot of the healing methods is like, okay, this is how it's done, and then we go in and like do it, and I'm like, well, it didn't quite work the way I wanted to, because people don't take the time out to customize it per person, per experience. Everybody have their own experience, so we can't think like, okay, you had this trauma, you was raped, and this person had rape, so we can use the same method for them, because they both are rape victims. Even though we were both rape victims, that doesn't mean we have the same experience as a rape victim. You know what I'm saying? So I totally think that is awesome, because a lot of healing people do not take that into consideration. Like, okay, this is what it is, and let's move on to the next thing. When it didn't work, like, well, maybe this is not for you, but maybe that method could have been for me. It's just that it has to be a little customized for my experience. You know what I'm saying? That's how I would love for, like, when I have therapy, I'm like, well, we did the CBT, and I'm like, this is not working for me. Like, you're just having me read a paper, fill out paper, and just talk about it. And me personally, I don't think trauma can be, it could be talked out, but it's more about action and moving your body. Like you said, moving your energy, like getting things moving and going. It's like trying to feel it in your body and in your spirit instead of just talking about it. Like, yeah, I could talk about it. I've been talking about it or not talk about it for so long, but that's not making me feel any different. You know what I'm saying? Like, feeling the energy and feeling that feeling of that trauma is what I think will help people move past the trauma.
That special individual that we're talking about, the empath that we're talking about, we have people that come to us that have been in therapy for 20 years. And they'll come for 2 sessions and they'll say, I never felt like this before. It's because they can't do conscious work. We love our therapists. We love our therapists, but there's a time and place for therapy. And cognitive therapy does not work for someone that's an empath right away. Okay. It doesn't work for someone that absorbs emotion, is highly sensitive. Actually, when they talk about it, Rose, it actually makes them feel worse. Okay. So the person that I'm talking about, you know, the mindset work, the positive affirmations, all the conferences that they go to, and they listen to every guru and everything like that. Sometimes they actually feel more despair than anything else. It's like, because how come they can do it? How come they told me that this really works for them and they feel great now? It's like, no, you just need something different. And that's what my girls, that's my story. They needed something different. Therapy works for me. Okay. Therapy works for me, but it didn't work for my girls. So for 25 years, I tried to do what I knew until I finally had to say, wait a moment, something's not working. So that's how Moment to Moment was created, because I refused to accept the fact, and I always did, I'm not putting a Band-Aid on anything. I am going to find a solution. And the solution is Moment to Moment for an empath.
Well, I would like for you to tell the listeners how they can connect with you outside of this episode, and where to find you, your social media information, your website information, and how to book a session.
Yeah. So it's as simple as, we want to meet you where you're at. So we have our website, which is www.revivalsociety.com. And you can go on there. You can see some stories of other people. If you're more visual, you can see that stuff on there, and you can see a little bit more about us. And then you just click start your journey, send up for a time. It's a free call. You'll fill out, I think it's 4 different questions, and it will just give us a better understanding of what it is that you're going through, what it is that you're looking to achieve, to make sure that we really can give you that result. The other way that you can reach out to us is through Instagram. So it's www.instagram.com/we-are-revival-society. And the person that will be messaging you back and forth is my sister, Carly. She runs everything of the business. She's the connector. You'll get to know her very well, and she's amazing. And you'll get to connect with her, and she'll set you up with a call if it's that way. Or you can even just text Julie. Her number is 314-494-8437. That is her actual number. You can text her, you can voice memo her, meet yourself where you're at, whatever you feel comfortable. Let us know you found us from this podcast, and we get you in pretty quickly. We have a certain schedule so that we can get people in pretty much every day, every other day, to make sure that people are getting seen as quickly as possible.
Well, I'll also have their information below in the show notes, so you can just kind of like click the link and you can find them on their Instagram and on their website. And before we end this episode, I would like to invite my listeners to our group. That we have a special support group for this podcast, and I will be inviting our guests to the special group. So if you join the group, you'll be able to have access to them, and you can ask them a little more questions if that's okay with you guys. So that they can have more information about the sessions and how they can book more sessions with you guys. You will have that link will also be below the video, but in the show notes. So that will be it for today's episode of the Sister Love Podcast. And I'll see you guys next week.